Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we have a very special guest, current professional hockey player with the Carolina Thunderbirds, Johnny Buttitta. Johnny has spent a lot of time in the Federal Prospects Hockey League the last 5, 6 years. Spent time in the SPHL as well with the Quad City Storm and the Fayetteville Marksmen. But even before that, he was in college in the ACHA level with Kent State University for 5 years. And then before that, he played junior hockey in the OJHL, in the NAHL, the NAHL, the EJHL South, the CCHL, the NA3HL, and then you played Cleveland Junior Lumberjacks with at the CSHL as well. So I'm really excited to dive into every aspect of your career. So I'm super excited to get you on. So welcome to the show, Johnny Buttitta.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's you've been one of the guests I've been wanting to get on for a while now, so I'm glad we're able to get this thing going.
Yeah, dude, when you messaged me, I was like, let's do it. I mean, you messaged me at a great time too, because I was just kind of running around just working right now. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I looked up the Instagram a little bit. I didn't know you got all those guys on there. I saw some of the guys like Everett Thompson,
Yeah.
Pete DeSalvo, um, who's another guy that Copeland. I saw Copes was on there.
Yeah.
Uh, who else? Mario. Trying to think. Have you gotten Gus yet? I don't know if you got Gus yet.
I don't think so. I have not gotten Gus yet.
No, you don't need him. I'm just kidding. No, he's a good guy, but no, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, of course. It's just a long list of guys that are in the Fed, the SB, like Coast A. Like I'm just trying to get everyone's stories out there and just have everyone else learn from the experiences that you have, things you learned, and as well as like facing the adversity, because as it is, like you're gonna face adversity throughout your career, no matter how good you are.
100%, 100%. You got to start somewhere, man. I mean, like you said, you rallied off some of the teams I played for, and I mean, I played junior hockey for my local team, the Cleveland Lumberjacks, and um, it was funny because it was the CSHL at the time. And then my second year, I was a senior in high school. I transitioned over to the NA3. So I was like one of the original NA3 guys. So I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about it. And then like they were drafting guys from that league. So that's how I got drafted into the NA. I was in Jamestown, New York for a cup of coffee. And then I actually got released from them. And then that same summer when I got drafted by them, I tried out for the team in the CJ, which is now the CCHL.
Yeah.
And it was Ottawa Junior Senators. I had two buddies on that team, and I was like, well, I got cut from this team after like a month and a half, 2 months. Might as well go see what I can do in Canada. And then I got released from them. Actually, I got traded from them to Blind River. I don't even know if they're a team anymore, but I got traded from Ottawa to Blind River, and I was like, I'm not going to Blind River. And then my one buddy was like, hey man, come to the EJ. He left out the South. And I was like, EJ, yeah, I'll go to the EJ. My brother played in the EJ for a minute. So then I get home and, kind of reevaluate what I was doing. And my buddy goes, oh, it's EJ South. It's a new division. And I go, EJ South. I go, where at? And he goes, Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was like, all right, what team? He goes, East Coast Eagles. And I was like, he's one of my best friends, and his name's Trobu Bannock. And he was like, so I took a leap of faith, went down at the time of my life. We weren't good. Like the Hampton Whalers were in the league that year, and like I don't even know. I'm 30. I'm 31 right now, so it was a couple years. It was when I was 19, so it was like East Coast Eagles, the Cyclones, Hampton Roads. They were always good. Atlanta had a team. Tampa had a team. But I only played like 15 games, and like the playoffs were so janky that year because it was all new.
Yeah.
We played like 7 games in like 3 days, 3.5 days. It was insane. And we made it all the way to the semis. We were like one of the worst teams. We made it all the way to the semis. It was funny. We played at like 8:30 at night in like the quarterfinals. Beat them. It was like an upset. And then we had to play like 7 a.m. the next day against Hampton and lost like 10-1. So it was tough. And then that summer, my other two buddies were up in the OJ and they're like, come play in the OJ. And I ended my junior career in Toronto for Milton, which was sweet. That was an experience in itself. Um, and then I took a year off of college. I took a year off after juniors. You know, every guy wants to go Division One. You
Yeah.
know, they always want to go NCAA Division One. That's their goal. Or you know, if you're younger, OHL or whatever. But every guy is looking for that Division One spot. Well, you know, it's it's a real small window, right? And you just kind of have to come to realization at a certain age where it's not in the cards sometimes, you know. So I took a year off and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna play hockey anymore. And that same guy from Raleigh was like, hey man, come to Kent State. Then I'm like, well, you already I love him. I played with him in the Cleveland Lumberjacks. So I've known this guy even before juniors. I played with him when I was in youth program. So I followed him basically everywhere. And he goes, come to Kent. So I went to Kent. And I had a couple other buddies in the team too that were already there. And so I went to Kent and we were terrible. We were terrible my freshman year. I mean, we almost had a winning record my freshman year. I think we went like I want to say we went like 19 and like 20 or 22 or
Close.
something like that. It was close. And like the upperclassmen are like, we almost had a winning record. I'm like, what was your record last year? You know, like we won like 5 games. I'm like, Jesus, man. So that was cool. And then I did 4 more years after my freshman year. So I did a super senior year and had a blast doing that. And you know, I met my fiance my junior year at school. And after I graduated, I was like, I still want to play. Well, I found out about the Fed um like my sophomore junior year. And then I found out about the SPHL first. So I was like, I never knew how good these leagues were.
Yeah.
Like, I never did any of my research. I mean, I played a little bit of like I played OJ for 1 year. That was like, I heard it's watered down now. You know, I'm
Yeah.
31 years old. You know, I don't know the levels anymore. You got the USPHL, you got all these levels that I don't even
The
know.
leagues just keep adding.
Yeah, yeah. You know, whoever's someone's dad's got money and they just add a team so their kid could play on it. Sometimes that's how it is sometimes. I mean, again, come to realization, I mean, like some kids can't make teams, so daddy's got to buy one for them. That's how I look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's fine. But I when I went to Kent, I kind of started doing my research my sophomore year. And I was like, the SPHL, I think I could do the SPHL. So I started looking up guys, you always EP guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this guy, and a lot of you could tell, like, what I've learned is that the SPHL, I mean, it's a jump from the Fed to it's a jump.
Yeah.
Like guys don't like, oh, it's only one level above. That's it's not how it works. It's
Still a
it's a
jump.
it's a jump because how I categorize it is as and everyone's got their own opinions about it, but you got your lower end Division One guys who don't make coast teams. They'll go to the SP and they'll be dogs. And then you got your top tier Division Three players, and then you got your ACHA guys that slip through and do very well.
Yeah.
But and then you got your OHL guy, your occasional OHL guys and stuff like that. But I found out there was a team in Mentor, Ohio, in the Federal Hockey League when I was a senior, not my super senior year, and I was like, oh, if I don't make an SP team, I'll go there. That's how I thought at the time. I was like, all right, I wasn't looking at going to the East Coast Hockey League. I wasn't looking at going to the AHL, NHL. That window closed real quick when I was like 17. I
Yeah.
mean, I just realized at an early age that I wasn't going to the NHL. When you got guys getting drafted to the OHL at 16 years old and making, they don't make a ton of money, but they're making money. So it's like, well, I'm not going to the NHL. So I'm just going to take the route I take. So I did my research and I emailed some teams in the SP. No, obviously I got no response back, which is fine. You know what I mean? You can't just give up because no teams respond to you. You
Yeah.
either show up
You
you
win
show
some,
up.
you lose some.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you're gonna get upset because 5 or 6 teams don't respond to you, then just quit. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
quit. You just gotta keep going. That's how I look at it. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna give the Federal Hockey League a try. So obviously I did my research on the Federal Hockey League. And the first thing that came to mind was Slapshot. I'm like, this is Slapshot. I was like, but you know what? I'm about it. I was like, I think it's awesome. I think that there's owners out there that are giving players opportunities to play and giving them chances to play. And some teams they fold after 1 or 2 years, but another team pops up,
Yeah.
right? I mean, look, we just talked about it before we started this. There's 14 teams now in the Federal Hockey League. That's awesome. It's growing. It's growing the game, which is I think is great. I think, and I'm hoping the way they did the draft this year, and they're doing a new point system this year that they're implementing, which is like every team should have an opportunity to be successful. And I think with you got Everett Thompson in Baton Rouge. I played with him. I actually played against him for 4 years in college. Great hockey player. He did a great job in Baton Rouge when he took over. Um, you got the moccasins.
Yeah.
I played with
Bro.
Parker. I played with Parker and Menor. Good hockey player. You know, he's gonna do good things in Monroe. You got trying to think who are the other new teams.
Danville, and then
Danville's back,
yeah.
and our coach, coach their coach they have now. I don't know his name. I forgot his name, but that's a good spot. I mean, you got all these teams that are coming back, which is great. I think it's awesome. Again, 14 teams, 7-7. It's awesome. The way they did the draft this year, you couldn't bring guys back when one got picked up. Again, yeah, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's going to grow the league. It's going to make the league better,
Yeah.
right? So, and I know they cut down the rosters last year. I think you can only have 20 on the roster now. Because the year before, when we went to the finals against Danbury, I think we had like 5 guys sitting out. I think we had like a 25, 23 or 24 man roster.
Wow.
But they cut it down to 19 or 20 last year, which, again, yeah, it's cutting down opportunity, but at the same time, it's also weeding out the old Fed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was before my time. I only played in the league for this was my 5th year, so I didn't see some of the raunchy stuff that like the first couple of years had.
Like
Like,
all the stories that you hear from when it
yeah,
first started.
yeah, and like Joe Pace he's probably got stories for days,
Oh yeah.
years. But if he was on this podcast right now, he could tell you right now that the league has definitely transitioned into a different style, faster, more competitive. Back then it was all toughness, right?
Yeah.
Now it's more skill, which is good. I had people ask me questions do you think the SP and the Fed will ever merge? No, they'll never merge, and that's okay. We want to be two different entities, right? So,
Yeah.
um, like I said, I was only up in the SP for a little bit. I was up in Quad City for a little bit, and I was up in Peoria. I went to Peoria's like uh, main camp, and then I got gassed, and then I went to Fayetteville for a weekend because they had a bunch of guys on COVID protocol. So I was like, we had an off weekend, so I was like, sure, I'll go. It was only an hour and a half away.
Why not?
Why not? Sure. And that's another good thing about like living south, like and playing in this league. You have teams all around the area, right? You
Yeah.
got Birmingham, you got Fayetteville, you got Macon, you got
Huntsville's.
Huntsville, you got Pensacola. I mean, yeah, it's a little farther down, but you got Knoxville, you got all these southern teams, and then you got your Evansville, you got your Peoria, you got your
Yeah.
Quad up north. But like that's a good selling point for the southern teams, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, and we have a great coach in Carolina. You always hear like stories of coaches trying to like hold guys back. Well, like in Carolina, man, like if he gets a phone call, boom, you can take it or leave it. If you want it, it's yours. If you want to stay in, it's your decision. You're a grown man, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I love about this, like our team and our coach is that he doesn't hold anyone back, right? I mean, there's guys like my age, like I ain't going anywhere, right? I'm 31, dude. Like I cemented myself in Carolina. I love Carolina. I'm gonna retire as a Thunderbird. I'm not taking a call up anywhere, even if I did get a call up, which very unlikely these days, right? I'm 31, and like you gotta check guys who've been there longer than me.
Yeah.
They've been there for 7 years, so it's like, and they won it with Carolina. So it's you got guys that are gonna stick around for a long time, like Joe Kennedy. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Joe
know. I
Kennedy.
know who he is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Joe Kennedy, he's pretty sure he's only 22 right now. This will be his 3rd year in the league already. He came right from juniors. His whole family got up and left Seattle, Washington, and they moved here like 2 months ago. Yeah, right when the season was about to end, his whole family moved here. They bought 2 houses. Joe's a lifer in Winston now. So it's
Yeah.
like I make the joke. There's something about Winston that you don't want to leave, and we got a great ownership group. We got great front office staff, from Barry, Carrie, Rick, Lisa, Hannah, Joe, all these people in the front office are awesome. And like I said, there's something about living in Winston with the guys. There's a couple of us that still live there. Like Coplinger lives there. Like I live there. Joe Kenny lives there. The Czech guys live there. Trying to think who else lives there. Schnapp.
Yeah.
He's back and forth in Tampa, but he's a lifer now too in Winston. So it's like there's something about it that we just can't get over. But if I had to tell anyone in the future about these leagues, is that don't shoot for the stars. You got to grind it out first. Like if you're not getting any bites in the SP, you might have to play a couple years in the Fed, and that's okay. That's okay because it's good hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear stories about guys getting jumped, and it's like, well, you got to look at it. Did the guy do something stupid to get jumped, or is the guy just running around jumping guys? You know what I mean? So it's like you always got to ask the question, and there's always tape now. You just check the tape, right? Like, okay, what did this guy do to get jumped? Or is that guy that jumped him was just a lunatic? Then there's like, all right, gas this guy, because they are trying to weed those guys out. I'm trying to think of his name, who they added. He like works with the NHL too, but he's like our safety protocol for the Fed. I forgot his
Yeah.
name, but like they obviously brought this guy in for a reason. They're trying to weed out the BS.
Yeah.
Like obviously we want you still want your tough guys. You still want your guys that will go out there and protect your goal scorers and stuff like that. But you also don't want guys skating around and just trying to hurt people. Because usually those guys aren't going to do anything with their careers, and it's like the guys that are hurting, they might have an opportunity to move up.
Yeah.
And it's like let me get this straight. You're gonna hurt a guy, so you can have your 2 weeks of fame when this guy can actually go somewhere. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it. Like obviously, I still like the BS in this league. That's what makes this league.
Yeah.
I love
That's what makes the stories and everything.
Yes, dude. I mean, you got your off ice, you got your bus trips, you got your road trips, and like I think the one year it was it was Garrett Rutledge's art. So we had Andre Nietzsche. I played for Andre Nietzsche, and then I played for Garrett for 2 years, and I played. This is my first year with Steve. Um, Garrett's first year. So yeah, I remember Garrett came from the OHL.
Yeah.
So he's seen everything like really nice, right? So it's sponsored by the NHL, right? So he's everything's top tier. Well, when he came to the team that year, I think we had like 17 breakdowns, and it's like if that's how I look at it. You gotta love hockey to keep doing it,
Yeah.
right? You gotta love, and you know what? We had great buses this year. Like we've had, like I said, everything's been great, But that first year was tough. It was tough, but you know what? The stories, like we talked earlier, I can write a whole book.
Yeah.
And I tell the guys when I retire, I'm gonna remember those stories with the guys on the bus trips, on the road trips. Hockey, the hockey games will be. I'll remember them, but not as much as the road trips and the off ice
Yeah.
stuff.
It's just the stuff with the boys
Boys, 100%, dude,
that you'd remember the most.
100%. And that's one thing that I'm going to miss the most when I retire is that the locker room. When you walk in the locker room, like you do it for 8 months, you see these guys. You got to think about it. You see these guys 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Like because if you're not playing hockey and you're not working out, you're doing booster meet and greets. You're doing meetups with the boys. You're going out with the boys. You're going to the movies and stuff like that. So it's like you're always with them. They're your brothers. They turn
Yeah.
into your brothers. Especially when the last 2 seasons, we made it to the finals 2 years in a row. And obviously, we lost both years. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's not a touchy topic for me because it's like I said this last year in a in a podcast. You got to keep moving forward, right? And it's like you can dwell on it for a little bit, but the more you dwell on it, the more you're gonna be miserable. And it's like you go sit in the corner and cry about it. What can you do to be better next year, right? So we have the pieces. We just got to put that last piece together, and I think we'll figure it out. And coach has done a great job of bringing in guys and keeping a tight group. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, the last 2 years it was Danbury and Binghamton. So Yeah. Everyone's like, oh man, like all my buddies back home, they bust my balls. They're like, hey, 2 years in a row, hey Bootz, and I go, yeah, sure, sure. Like I get it from Divine a lot because I played
Yeah.
with Divine up in Quad City, so he busts my chops a lot, and it's like, ooh, you know, I mean, it is what it is, dude. I mean, like we this year we were in Binghamton, and you know we lost the two at home, and we had one there, and we ended up losing, obviously, and we had the Airbnb because we couldn't get a hotels in the city because I think there was a college graduation for the
Ah,
Binghamton University, so everything was booked. So we stayed like 45 minutes away. An Airbnb in this place was huge, and I'm like, when Coach told me about it, he was like, "Yeah, or stay together, stay in an Airbnb." I was like, "The whole team?" He was like, "Yeah." I go, huh, "Okay." And
the one.
obviously, like we dialed it in, like we
Yeah.
we we knew what we had to go there for. Obviously, we didn't succeed, but Coach goes, "Do you want to stay here for the night, or do you want to go home?" I was like, "No, let's stay. We have it till Monday." So you know, and that was probably one of the last times we were all together, because a lot of guys they kind of bounced out right after they got home because they wanted to go home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we would
The
have
long
wanted,
season.
yeah, a long season, you know, they want to see their family. Like, I know some of the guys haven't seen their family since October, so it's
Yeah.
like I didn't go home at all. I mean, we didn't have any off weekends, so I don't think I saw my parents since like August. And then I came home like a month ago to see them for the first time, which
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we played juniors. Like you do it for so long, it's like it's a lifestyle, right? Like my fiance was like, "How did you do this when you were 19?" It's like, well, she goes, "How do you not miss home?" That's what she asked me a couple weeks ago, and I said, "I do miss home. I just I'm so used to living away that I know they'll be there. I know they support me doing this, so it's
Yeah.
I'll be home when I'm home, right?" Well, this is her first time living away from her family, so it's like 3 years ago we moved out to Carolina. Well, she came out. I was kind of going back and forth those first couple of years, but she came out. It's tough at sometimes. I mean, I get it. Like my brother just had two kids, and it's like I don't get to see them, you know. So it does suck. But at the same time, it's like I'm doing what I love, and I can only do it for so long. So I'm going to appreciate the moments I have. You know what I mean? So it's like for guys that are just starting out, um, enjoy the ride because it's going to be over one day. And a good buddy of mine, who else I played with in Cleveland, he plays for Motor City now, George Holt. He told me when I first got to Carolina, because he was the main reason I got to Carolina. He told me it was Bootz because we have a big fan base in Carolina. We get like 3,500 a night, and we have a great booster club. We have a great fan base, and after every game, win or lose, they wait outside our locker room and they wait for us to sign autographs. And he goes, Bootz, one day this is all going to be over. So enjoy people asking for your signature because the only one that's going to ask for your signature when you're done is a debt collector. And I tell everyone that now. And
Yeah.
I love George. I call him Big G. I love him. Um, and it kind of sucks that he couldn't play with us this year in Carolina. You know, but I'm glad he found a spot in Motor City because I know he's close to there. But that's why I told my old man that too. I'm like, you know, George told me this a couple of years ago. So every time, even if we lose, I go out there and sign autographs because the fans appreciate it. Because I mean, we're a low minor, and also guys need to realize we're a low minor hockey league. You're not in the NHL, so quit acting like you're a superstar.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're not. You're not a superstar. You're in the Federal Hockey League. So appreciate people that are appreciating you and buying your jersey. You know what I mean? Wearing your name on their back for you. So appreciate it. And if all they want is an autograph and a picture, do it.
That
Because
it's like you're an NHL player to them.
yes, exactly. But like, don't be arrogant and don't be
Yeah.
cocky to people that look up to you and acknowledge you for because you play a sport that they can't do. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I will take from this. And like if I ever did get into coaching, I will tell the players that if I ever coach them, like go out there and you sign autographs. I don't care if you lose 9-0. Because these people are here to see you. They pay to see you. So, you know, I'm getting all fired up right now. Because I've had guys in the past that wouldn't like sign autographs, and it's like I would scream at them. And I know it sounds really bad to do, but it's like, do it because they're here to see you. You don't act cocky. Don't act like you're a rock star because you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like I mean, I'm never gonna get to the level, but NHL players, like obviously, like they probably get heckled all the time, but like I don't know. I haven't been to an NHL game in a minute, but I can only imagine how those guys, some of those guys. I mean, some of those guys are great, probably,
Yeah.
but there's probably guys with the biggest egos, and it's like appreciate it, man, because one day it's gonna be over. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
The sport doesn't last forever. You're gonna retire
it
one day.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't, man. It doesn't. But so
Yeah.
sorry, I went on a little tangent.
That's great, and like it brings up like a lot of good points, and like I'm working for like the baseball team over in Watertown. Like
Yeah,
fans like still come up to me and says, can you sign my hat? Of course. Like
it's awesome.
I just love that stuff, and like
Yeah.
you don't know if like it's gonna make someone's day, could make their week, their month, whatever. So it's
Oh, yeah.
just giving back to the community.
Yeah, dude. And that's the one thing about like these lower levels of hockey, even at the coast level. I mean, they probably don't do as much. I'm not saying East Coast Hockey League is a low level, but I'm not like the SP and the Fed. You have to go be out in the communities, especially in the Federal Hockey League. Like that's how you get your fan base. And I know some guys dread doing certain things, like doing charity events, doing meet and greets and stuff like that. It's like, dude, it's 1 hour of your day.
Yeah.
You know, things that I got, and mind, this is for guys that are up and coming. I will say this to younger guys: lose the egos. You know, that's the one thing I want to say to like I know I'm 31. I'm like there is an age gap like with players like I'm 31. I'm a 92 birth year, and we had 2000s and like younger guys come in, and it's like they had egos, and it's like there's no reason to have an ego
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lunatic in this league that will knock it right out of you, and you'll learn real quick. But the ego's got to be out the window because if a coach can't mold you into what he wants, especially at the higher levels, they're just going to pass on you. They're going to pass on. They're going to say this guy's got an ego and he's not even. He doesn't even have one game in the spill.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Next, there's 20 other guys waiting, buddy. Like that will listen to me and I'll mold them into what I want. And that's another thing I learned. Like it's if you don't like the way the coach coaches, then okay, well, you don't like the way I coach, he'll just move on to the next guy. It's that simple, especially when you get to the higher levels. Like I don't know if that makes any sense, but I've learned like Guy in Peoria, very, very knowledgeable of the game.
Yeah.
Very, very knowledgeable. I was in camp. I was just telling this to Mario a couple weeks ago. I FaceTimed him. And I went to his main camp. And mind you, I played ACHA for 5 years. I played 1 year of OJHL. And I played a couple I was in the NA for like 10 not less than 10 games. And I went to his main camp and I'll never forget he had all these boards, these whiteboards. And there was like it was like hieroglyphs and everything. And all the guys are standing there, they're drinking their coffee, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And I'm standing there, I had my phone, I'm just like taking pictures of all the boards, and I'm like, I gotta know all this by tomorrow. Play club hockey. You booze on game night. You know what I mean? Like that was club hockey, dude. Like it was up. Like I'm not saying every ACHA team's a
Yeah.
party. Like there, and that's another thing with players and young guys that are looking to move up from juniors. Don't sleep on ACHA,
Yeah.
especially the Division 1 level. And I won't get tired of saying it. The top tier ACHA schools, like the OU, like the Ohio University, Lindenwood's Division 1 now, but I think they're still pretty good at ACHA level.
Yeah.
You got your UNLV, you got your Adrian, you got those teams. Those teams will beat the lower end Division 3 NCAA teams.
Yeah.
And a lot of these junior kids need to realize like don't sleep on the ACHA teams because there are good schools that take care of you, like Minot State. Pretty sure they're sponsored by Bauer, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
So and I never got to play against those teams. I played against Ohio University, played against Adrian for 5 years. That sucked. I didn't beat Adrian once in 5 years.
Yeah.
Played Michigan.
They're national champions and everything.
Yeah, their first year they won nationals. Rodenbush was a senior. That was my 4th year. That's when they won their first nationals. They were just got. They had Brad Coburn. I played with him up in Milton. He was
Yeah.
gross. They had Justin Fisher. That's a funny story. He played for us this year. Yeah, that story's wild because him and I we had the biggest beef with each other in college, and we needed a couple guys we had a couple guys out and the end of the season, and Fish was living in Winston Salem, and I was like, why is he living here? Because Coplinger played with him in juniors. The hockey world, small world, man. Everyone knows everyone, and it was funny. So Fish shows up, get him gear on. He was helping out Fayetteville, but his fiance or his girlfriend is like going to school at Wake Forest, so that's why he's living here. So that's cool. And it's like our paths meet again. So and that's another thing. It's like enjoy the friendships, right? Enjoy them, because again, these may be your best friends for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
right? So I've definitely made a lot of friendships here. They're like my little brothers that I just want to choke out half the time. You know, but
Um,
but again, that's one thing if I can tell the younger group of guys coming up, it's just like lose the egos, get ready to be molded,
yeah.
because if you don't want to be molded, they'll just get rid of it because there's another guy that's hungry that wants to take your spot.
Yeah.
So
Just coachable and just
yes,
because like you see the transactions all the time on the Fed website, like every day there's like probably at least 10 transactions that end up happening within the
oh
league.
dude,
So like there's always a
oh yeah,
supply
dude.
that people that coaches are gonna pick up and like so everyone's looking for your job.
Yo, dude, I do. I mean, it's scary. Like, I don't care if I've been in Carolina for 5, 6 years. Harry came in this year, didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I owe you guys nothing. And I'm his player assistant. He looked at me like that. He goes, and this one, you think I owe this guy anything? I don't owe him anything. And I'm just like, oh boy. You know what? I went out to. It was like a week later we had camp, and I went out trying to blow guys up because I was like, I need to make this team.
Yeah.
Some guys kind of took it lightly, some more older guys, and it's sad. I'm not going to name names, but some guys didn't make the team. Coach goes, this guy didn't come prepared.
Yeah.
So I know coach is gonna be a little harder this camp too, because our team is getting older, so it's like he's gonna be harder on us, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I'm ready for it, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and like that all that like helps create like a winning culture too, because like you want everyone to be prepared. Everyone in the league wants to win. So like you're
Yes.
just doing stuff to prepare
Yeah,
and to win games and the end goal is the championship.
absolutely, absolutely, dude. And obviously, yeah, we lost both years in a row, and I know I said a little bit earlier that yeah, we got bounced both 2 years in a row, but at the same time, it's like it's still tough to make it to that spot, right?
Yeah.
So and you can't dwell on the past. You got to keep moving forward because there's always a timestamp, right? We talked earlier, like probably 20, 30 minutes ago, that your careers are going to be over one day. So
Yeah.
just appreciate it, enjoy the ride. It's
Yeah.
pretty much pretty
Yeah.
much it on that.
Yeah. So like you've been to the championship the last 2 years. Like what do you gain from that experience and especially like going forward into like the following seasons when you're building to something just like that to go out of the championship again?
That's a good question. I mean, these last 2 years, I think we've had one of the tightest groups in the league, and I'm not just saying that because I play in Carolina, and I really do believe you have to have a tight group in order to get to that point. You can have skill, you can have talent, but I truly believe if you work hard and you have the group of guys that you think you can go to the finals with. If you have one guy on your team that is toxic and doesn't vibe with the group but is very talented, it's still going to bring you down. I mean, from top to bottom, I can't. I've been on teams where I there was always one or two guys that I just couldn't look at every day. I come in, I'm like, I hate seeing this guy. But these last couple of years down in Carolina, man, I'm like, you're always gonna have like little beef with guys, but like nothing that you'll dwell on or you'll
Yeah.
get so mad that you can't see the guy. They're like your brothers, and you get mad at your brother once in a while, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's how it is. That's how family is. So I really do, I really do mean this, is that we had a very tight team these last 2 years. Um, I believe we had a little bit more scoring or more firepower that first year or that second year of Garrett, then outweighed this year. You know, we had Lucas Rowe the one like last year. He was rookie of the year. I mean, he had like 70 something points. You know, we had guys. I mean, our third line that year was me, him. No, we had like six guys in that third line. We had a lot of guys in the third line that one year. But you know, Rowe and I both had 70 plus points, and you got Gus who had over 100. You had Coplinger who had 70 plus points. You know, you had the Czech guys that did their thing. So it's like I do believe, obviously, like you have to be productive to get to the finals, but I also feel like you have to have that tight team in order to get there. I mean, like going back to the Binghamton trip after we lost, it's like this is the last time we're gonna probably all be with each other. So me being me, we had a big old house, and I was like, let's play hide and seek. You know, I mean, it was a mansion, it was huge, so we played hide and seek. Like this is after we lost, obviously. Like the guys were they were upset, but it's like obviously we didn't win, and it's like yeah, you could be upset about it, but let's enjoy our time together
Yeah.
because this might be the last time we're all going to be in the same house together, and it
Yeah.
was. So we enjoyed it. I mean, we woke up the next day and we had a good time, and obviously we didn't party like rock stars, but we had a good time with each other because we were making the joke. We were just like we probably would have partied harder if we would have won, obviously, but we didn't. We don't deserve to party hard, but there's always next year. And I'm looking forward to this team that coach is going to be putting together because we're going to be special again. And with our core guys coming back, I think it's gonna be a nice touch for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's like the biggest theme that I've heard throughout like championship teams. Like this, like I've had guys like obviously win at the Fed level, the SP guys, the Coast, the American League, and like it's all the same where it's like the team and the group within the room is super close. Like you do everything together.
Yeah,
Like sure you have like those small beefs with each other, but like your brothers at the end of the
yeah,
day, you're gonna just get past that
yeah,
and just everyone's there to support each other and everyone knows their job, knows their role, which all really helps everything come together to help build that winning program and that championship caliber team.
absolutely, dude. And building off that, it's like I think that's your first thing you have to have. You have to have a tight locker room, and you have to have guys that obviously they're hungry to get called up, but when they're there to win.
Yeah.
They're not just, oh, I'm here to just get a call up. Well, you're not here for the right reasons then. Like
Yeah.
obviously you want to get called up, and it will come when you put the work in. And I truly do believe like work ethic is a major key, especially in any sport. But once you put in the work, it's going to be way easier to get the call up. It really is. I mean, obviously, like those teams are looking for production, stat production, but also if you have a coach that's like, this guy may not produce
Yeah.
on the stat sheet, but this guy works his nuts off. You want him on your roster. He's a good locker room guy. Like you don't if that's the one thing. Players don't think that these coaches talk to each other. They talk to each other. Doesn't matter what level, they talk to each other.
Oh yeah.
There's not like a wall where the SP coaches don't have conversation. Like they don't just call the coach and be like, "Hey, I need this guy. Can I have him?" It's not like that. It's like they actually have like full on heart to heart conversations, man. Like these from the Fed all the way up to the coast. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the AHL. Obviously, that's a whole different ballgame. But
Yeah.
these coaches talk to each other. So if your name gets tossed around like that, this guy's terrible in the locker room. Great player, but terrible in the locker room. They're just gonna pass on you because, like I said to you earlier, there's another guy just waiting in the shadows for your spot.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like I told you, like me and the other older guys, we're gonna retire. You don't think they're gonna have guys to replace us? They're gonna have guys replace us like that. I mean, and it is what it is. It's part of the game, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's part of the job. Like everyone, there's so many good players out there that like
oh
everyone
yeah,
and guys that are hungry that are willing to do anything to take someone else's job. So like can't have an off day or you just got to come to practice every day. It's hard.
yeah.
Take it like a game. Like same thing with games. Like you got to be able to perform because at the end of the day, you can get replaced at any time.
Anytime. It doesn't matter how long you've been on a team. I mean, look at Stamkos. guy got drafted by
Just got
Tampa Bay.
traded.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get traded. He picked up a new
Or
contract. So it's
yeah,
like
he got picked up.
because they didn't want to. I don't know the whole thing behind it, but it's funny. We in Carolina we have a equipment manager.
Yeah.
He was with Tampa Bay. He was in the NHL for 30 plus years. He was with
Wow.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, his name is Rod Harris. He was at Tampa Bay. He retired 2 years ago. He was the away equipment manager for the away teams for Tampa, and he was with New Jersey too. So he's got three. I'm pretty sure he's got. I want to say he's got three cups. I think yeah, it's three.
Wow.
And so he moved up to Winston because his son-in-law and his daughter got married, and he wanted to be closer to his grandkids.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. He reached out to Garrett, was the coach at the time, and Garrett told me about him. I was like, this guy wants to help out, like volunteer. So the guy came to the rink. You know how the NHL. I mean, you're in that level for 30 plus years. It's gonna be tattooed in your brain. You're
Yeah.
perfection. Everything's perfection. I'll never forget. He saw our equipment room, which is our storage room, and it had all. I mean, I'm pretty OCD, so I had it all like as neat as I could have it.
Yeah.
And I opened the door. I'm like, "Welcome to the equipment room." And he's just like, I look at him. I go, "Welcome to the Fed." And he just looked at me. He's just like, he was just like, "Jesus." I go, "Welcome." So, but guy. I mean, I haven't talked to him about the Stamkos thing, but like his 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 ticket was punched in Tampa. They
Yeah.
couldn't figure out a deal. I know everyone's upset about Stamkos going to Nashville, but it's like the GM. I don't know what the GM was doing in Tampa, but that was their captain. That's at the pro. That's the highest level.
Yeah.
So if guys in this league think they're safe, they better think again. That's how I look at it. It's like these guys are got drafted, NHL drafted and making millions, and the GM goes, "Nah, we don't need you anymore." So it's like I guess I have to leave your egos at the door. That's one thing I want to reiterate for the young guys.
Yeah.
Leave those egos at the door and just work your bag off, man. Because if you are trying to go to the highest level, these coaches don't care. They'll just get rid of you,
Yeah.
right?
Stamkos was set up to be retired as a Lightning, and then
Yeah. Which
like he
which
was
you know what?
fully expecting to, and then that happens.
Well, he probably will.
Yeah.
He'll still, but it's going to be one of those retirements where it's like one game signing, which is to me, I think is kind of. I think those signings are stupid. Just play a whole year.
Yeah.
And if you got to ride pine, just make minimum, just get your number retired. That's how I look at it. But no, I when I saw that, I was like, wow. I was even like, I don't watch NHL. I'm not a big NHL guy, but like, I know Steven Stamkos. I know the big
Yeah.
names. And it's just like that's crazy that they just let him go.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even trade him. I mean, got him
Mhm.
for nothing. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so it's like again, that's their captain drafted. I mean, he's my age, I think, or he's a 91. I think yeah, he's a 91, and he's been captain for a minute. So it's like, and they just let him go. So it's like, if guys in this league think they're safe on their teams, they're nuts.
Yeah.
So.
The you never know where the loyalty lies
Oh
at the end
yeah,
of the day.
oh yeah, absolutely, man. So, but yeah,
Yeah, but like I want to talk like about like adversity that you face like throughout your careers. Like what was some of like the adversity you faced throughout like your entire hockey career, and like how were you able to overcome it and
yeah.
move past like the adversity and just to be successful after that?
You know, it. I never played AAA hockey. I played AAA for like a couple months in the summer with the Barons that 1 year, and I always played Double A. And I was always like, this isn't my ego kicking in, but I always like made like the top teams in my Double A, but I always knew there was better players at the AAA level, but I tried my hardest to make the highest that I could at my level, the Double A level. And as I got to juniors, I stayed at home. My junior senior, I played for the Lumberjacks. I played there for 2 years, and then I said I'm only doing this with my 2 year plan. That's how I was looking. My ego was
Yeah.
kicking in. This is where the ego thing comes in. I go, I'm only staying here for 2 years. I'm gonna develop, blah blah blah, and then I'm gonna go to the NA. That was my goal. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the NA. I'm gonna go Division 1. So I got humbled real quick when I got to the NA. I got humbled real fast because a lot of those guys were committed already to Division 1, and I was like, wow. I think I was there for like 2 months, and then I went to this after I got cut. So I was like, That was the first time I ever got cut. But I wasn't gonna quit. I was like, did it hurt? Oh yeah, because I've always been like, all right, I'm like, as bad as it sounds, like as like, eighth grade to ninth grade, I was like, I'm gonna make the top team. As my ego was kicking in, right? So then after I got cut from the NA, I was like, took me like a week to like let it hit me. It's like this team cut me. I was like, all right, we're not gonna quit though. We're gonna keep going. Someone else, there's other teams out there that want me to play for them. And I think when I that earlier that summer I tried out for the Ottawa team. That was like my fallback plan because I made that team, but I didn't take it. I took the NA because I knew more about the NAHL than I did the CJ, now the CCHL. I knew more about that league than I did the CCHL. So I took that, and then after I got cut, I was like, let's go to the CCHL. Let's go to Canada. So I was up there for 3 months, and I got traded, and I was like, it's kind of funny because I got traded like right in December, right at the trade deadline, and my parents visited me, and it's like 10 hours from home. So that was the first time I broke down. I was just like, dude, am I that bad
Yeah.
that like nobody wants me? And I was like, you know what? And then my other buddy called me and was like, my buddy Troy was like, come to the EJ South, and I was like, he left up the South part, so I was like, all right. Went to the EJ, I went to the EJ South, and it was a blast. Wasn't as competitive. I mean, it wasn't competitive. They had their good players, but overall, it was like playing for the Lumberjacks again, maybe even lower. So I think what got me over that hump was, and I tell this to a lot of people. I don't like looking back at it now. I don't like, obviously at the time it sucked
Yeah.
getting caught. It sucks every time
It's
you
the
get.
it's the worst feeling.
It's the worst feeling because it's just like you want to rethink your whole career, and it's
Yeah.
like obviously you could do it for like a day or two, and it's just like losing in the finals. You could do it for a day or two and like think about what you could have done, what you should have done, but then you got to look at it and go, all right, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to do. So, and that's after that season was over, I kind of pushed into gear and I was like, all right, now I know the water. I was a big fish in a pond, in a little pond. Now let's go back to Canada and see if we can do it. And that's what I did. I went to camps and I did 2 camps a year, and then I made Milton. I was like, I'm staying here. I'm gonna be loyal. Like I'm not gonna I'm gonna check myself at the door. That's what because I didn't check myself the first year. I was cocky. And then I kind of checked myself and I was like, all right, these guys are good. It was kind of cool because it was like all Italian guys in the team too. So that was cool because the owner was Italian. So it was a cool spot.
Yeah.
We didn't make playoffs. We had a bunch of egos on the team. We had a bunch of egos. Like we had a good team, but we didn't have a hardworking team. We had an ego team.
Yeah.
So, um, but then after that, I went to college and I won't lie to you. I didn't check my ego out the door because I was cocky my in college because it was like all the guys I played, all the guys at Kent were like, this is gonna sound really bad, but they were right out of high school. They were like high school players, so it was like I'm better than all of you. That's how I looked at it. And then like again, I got checked real quick when we played Adrian. When we played
Yeah.
Dearborn. I'm like, oh shit, this league's actually pretty good. You know what I mean? So it's like Davenport was gross too. So it was like I got checked. I got my ego checked a couple times, but you know what I mean. And then I think it was my senior year. I always tell Gus this. I'm like, Gus, you'd have loved Kent. He goes, really? I'm like, oh, you'd have been a god. I go, if I was good there, you'd have been a god. He started laughing. But but then obviously I got my ego checked one more time. It was when I went to Peoria's camp, and that's when I was like, all right, these are the big boys. All right,
Yeah.
this is where the big boys come into play. And my goal was to make it onto an SP roster. That was my goal when I played ACHA. I was like, you didn't see a lot of ACHA guys going to the SP. So that was my goal. My goal wasn't even go to the coast. Coast was a bonus if I ever got there, but I never did. Um, but that was like my goal was go to the SP, and I did it, and I'm content with doing that. I know some people are like, I want to keep going there. I want to go to the ECHL, I want to go to the AHL, and I wanted to get to the AHL because I was 25 when I graduated college. I mean, I
Yeah.
was old. I was old. I wanted to get my degree first, right? So, uh, I got checked. I got my ego got checked at in Peoria's camp for sure. and then I went back to Mentor, and then I went back, and then I got called up to Quad City that year, and again played Peoria, just like you guys play in Port Huron or Binghamton. You guys probably played Binghamton, Danbury 10 times. Played Peoria, and then right down the road. Played them. I think I played them. I think I only played like 15 games for Quad or something like that. I think I played them 12 times out of 15 times. Those are big boys right there. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys were younger than me at the time, so I'm like, damn. So don't ever think your ego won't get checked more than once, because
Yeah.
you get comfortable in a spot and there's always someone trying to take your spot, man. So
Yeah.
I think overcoming it, you just got to look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, okay, you've been here before. What are you going to do about it? That's what you got. You just got to kind of hype yourself up. But if you can't do that, then I think I mean, if you can't check yourself, then I think it's gonna be hard for you to make a roster.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah, and like you like once you get complacent, like and comfortable, that's
Yeah,
when you get checked again and you're like, I can't get comfortable because someone could take my spot right the next day.
at the
So you
hop.
just gotta keep going, keep grinding, battling every day, no
Yeah,
matter what, and you just gotta you gotta be able to perform at the end of the day.
at the end of the day, yeah, and like obviously it's gonna be stressful at times. Like
Yeah.
obviously it's gonna be an emotional ride. Um, but I mean, I've been playing for a while, so it's like it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. It's still it'll still affect you. I didn't play as much as I used to. Like I didn't play as much this year as I have in the past, and it got to me at sometimes, man. It did, but I knew our goal was to get to the finals, and we had the team to do it. So I'm in that position that I have to like play a higher role outside of just playing. So and I had to check myself a couple of times. It's like you're the vet on this team. Don't be a rookie. Don't be a whiny little girl. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, like it's gonna hit you. It'll hit you at all ages. Like man, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're gonna have to check yourself a couple times, because once you get comfortable somewhere, it gets harder. I will say that for sure. But yeah, other than that, just I'll say it again. I'll be repetitive. Just check yourself, right?
Always gotta keep moving forward, getting 1% better every day,
Right.
whatever you gotta do to get better,
Yeah.
and just stay consistent with it, and just keep getting better and better every single day.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. I always tell guys, they go, Boots, you want to do this? You want to do that? I'm like, can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like, and you know what? That's a lie because you can. You can get better. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're lazy, you're not going to get better, right? So it's like, there are things you can work on. Like, there would be days where you work on wall stuff. You work on breakout stuff right after practice. Do little things. It's like, I always said you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can. I just like having that sarcasm to the guys, but you can. You can always learn something new, right?
Yeah.
It's like I love working out. I love off ice stuff. So it's like I'm starting to implement new things in my workouts, and it's like I've never done that before. So it's like you can't teach an old dog new things. You know what I mean? So I know I joke about that, but I know some guys take it to heart, like Schnapp. Schnapp will be like, "Yeah, you teach an old dog." I'm like, "Schnapp, you're 23 years old. 23 years old. He can teach you plenty of things, man." So those guys in Carolina definitely keep me on my toes. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you're the vet over there. You're the leader. You're the captain. You were player coach as well this past year. So
Yeah.
you just gotta keep everyone in line. And like, what has been like some of the things you've learned from being that leader and like that captain, that player coach throughout your time in Carolina?
Um, I would say you have to. You can't, like I said, you can't show your emotions too much.
Yeah.
And with me, there are days where I do show my emotions. I'm still learning. It's I got really close with these guys these last couple of years, so some days it's hard for me to separate myself when it comes to player assistant and assistant player, right? Like Harry has done a great job with helping me with learning some of like obviously he doesn't sit down and be like you got to do this better, you got to do this, but he doesn't do it like that. He's just kind of like guides me in that direction. He doesn't like actually sit down with me and like write it down on the board for me. Like I'm 31, I should be able to like understand from him
Yeah.
just body language. But I've been with some of these guys for, I mean, the Czechs have been with for almost for 5 years. So it's like some days it is hard to separate that boundary between the players. I'm not out there coaching the guys. I don't do that. I'm not like, hey, you're going in this corner. I don't do that. You know, we run a little different than Port Huron, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't do that. Harry runs the show, right? So sometimes the separation is difficult from a player assistant because it's you go to battle with these guys every night. You're getting gear with these guys every night. So it's like, and I'll never be one to sit down with a guy and be like, hey, you gotta get that puck out faster. I don't do that either because again, I'm still a player. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Because one day I might want to coach, you know. So I'm not going to sit there and try to coach these guys while I'm still wearing the gear, right? Now, if I ever do coach, that's it. Or if I ever do coach, know where the gear anymore, it's a different story. So I think this year I'm still going to have that relationship with the guys as a player, but I have to separate myself a little bit more because this is my last year. This is my last year of playing hockey. Is I have to move on, and
Yeah.
I know that. And you know, my fiance and I, we both talked about it, and it's gonna be a tough ending, but at the same time, it's like I'm doing what's best for me and her in the future, and I'm gonna enjoy this ride. You know, win or lose, get to the finals again. Knock on wood, if we get to the finals, we don't get bounced, but you know, again, but you can't dwell on it. You gotta keep moving, and I will miss this game as a player, but at the same time, I've learned a lot, and I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna take what I've learned in hockey and use it every day as my, as you know, in the work area, wherever I land a job. But um, yeah, that's one thing. It's gonna be a little bit different this year with me and the guys. It's obviously I'm still gonna have my fun with the boys. Like I'm still a player. Like I'm not gonna be yelling at dudes. I don't do that. I'm not a yeller. You can ask the guys. I don't yell. Like everyone makes mistakes. We're all human, right? Now if it's a
Bound to happen.
now yeah, and now if it's a blatant mistake and it's like you don't take accountability, I
Yeah.
might have to
That's
tell you.
different. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you because if you don't think you did anything wrong, it's like okay, no, you're a grown up. Lose again. This is an ego thing, but the ego at the door. You got to check yourself, and you got to go back in your head and be like, was that my fault? Accountability is a big thing too. So, yeah. So the separation is it's gonna be a little difficult, but I'm excited to do this. This is gonna be all new to me. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good team. We're gonna have a good core of guys coming back, which is nice too. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta enjoy your last year of pro hockey, last year of hockey.
Oh
Might as
yeah,
well just go enjoy it, be with the boys, and
might have
just
to get a couple
keep doing
fights.
it.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm not a fighter either.
No fights for you.
No, well, you know, last year we had a guy, great guy. He was like 6'6". He Wells. He kind of got bounced around from Whitville to Motor City. I don't know where he ended up.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen him before.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
Really super nice guy. Really appreciative of his opportunity he had with us. And it was funny. We played Whitville, and he dressed for him, and there was a little scruff in front of the net, and I grabbed him. I was like, "Hey, Wells, come over here, buddy." Like being nice to him.
Yeah.
Punched me in the face, and I go. It kind of jarred me a second. I go, this kid just hit me. And he did it again. I go, okay. That kind of like triggered me. I told my fiance about it. I don't know why it fired me up. She goes, well, hey, in the face twice. I was like, yeah, I got fired up. I don't know. It just triggered me. I don't have a switch like some of these lunatics do. Like, like I don't. I just can't just drop my gloves when the first guy looks at me wrong. I just can't do it. I'll just start laughing. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, it'll be fun, man. It's gonna be a fun year. I'm excited to play you guys. We play you guys this year. We didn't
Yeah,
play you guys
I did
last
hear
year.
that.
Yeah, we didn't play you guys, which was, to be honest, it was kind of nice because that's a trek from Carolina to Watertown. So it'd be fun playing. I don't know how many times. I think we played you guys 2 or 3 times this year.
There
I
you
can't
go.
remember. I have to look at this.
Those be fun battles.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be. No, yeah, I love playing Watertown. It's always like every team is a fight. Every team.
Yeah.
So I mean, can't like I mean look at Columbus last year in the semis. We played them, and so we beat them in the semis. they they thought they were just going to win it. I think, in my mind, because they didn't lose. They never lost 2 games at home like that all year. I don't think, and they did. So it's like never underestimate a team. It doesn't matter if they won one game. I mean, look a couple years ago, Elmira did um, against
Guaranteed
Battle
win
Creek.
night against Battle Creek.
Battle Creek. That was my first year in the league, and it was like a big thing in the league. And they lost on guaranteed win night. That was Battle Creek's first win, and that team was garbage.
And their only win.
And their only win. Yeah. So it's like never underestimate a team, man, because it doesn't matter if they're 3-12 or 12-3. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
any team has a chance to win on any given night in this league now.
100%, dude. This is gonna be a fun year. There's 14 teams now. Every team's got talent on their squads. So I'm excited to get this season rolling in October.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well.
Yeah,
It's
I'm excited to
gonna
see you out there, man.
yeah, gonna be a good year, fun year, and
Oh yeah,
always room to learn as well.
absolutely, dude. How old are you again?
20 or just turned 24 like a month
Oh, 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 you got time. You
ago.
got 6 years under your belt, brother.
Still young.
Oh yeah, 24, right? Wow.
Yeah.
I was a junior in college at 24.
2000 baby.
Oh yeah, I gotta love it. Yeah, I wish I was a 2000, but
Oh yeah, is definitely young and still ready to grind
yeah,
through everything.
enjoy it, buddy, because it goes by fast.
Oh yeah, that's what I've been told plenty of times by everyone.
It does. It goes by fast, man. I can't believe last year's already over.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast the seasons go by when you're actually in season.
Like the first 2 months are kind of like slow start, and then once you hit like this, like November or December, it
Yeah,
buzzes. It buzzes. And I told my mom the other day, I was like, man, last season went by so fast. Like, cause summer's already in July.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Season's
like,
coming right around the corner.
oh yeah, I mean, coach is coming back in September, so it's like, I mean, I'm down there right now, but I don't do anything right now for the team, not until he gives me orders. But other than that, I mean, I'm just waiting for the call. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like once it got to January, it flew by for me. Like it was already then April,
Yeah.
middle of April, and then
Oh, dude.
like it's May, June, July now. So it goes by super fast and it's crazy how fast it flies.
Oh, yeah, dude. It flies, man. So like I said, enjoy it because it's gonna be a fun ride.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think that's a great place to wrap this episode up. So Boots, thank you again for coming on the show.
Yeah,
I
dude.
appreciate your time as well.
I appreciate you having me, man.